Hello, my friends. Happy Tuesday. I don't know what we're doing today. It's not going to be frosted today, as much as I'd like to frost every single day. I'm thinking that we'll just do something bronzy. Whenever I don't know what I want to do, I just go right to bronzy. I'm not going to get too wild with the eyes, but so even though this is going to be a shimmer, it's going to be able to glow through the mattes that I'm going to use, but it's going to just add a little bit of dimension to them. So I mean, I love a super matte, but I'm really enjoying these and I'm having a lot of fun with them. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to start here at my lash line, and I'm just going to go ahead and take that to about right there. We'll do from here to here more matte, but we are, like I mentioned, we're still going to use matte. I'm picking up more. We're still going to use matte eyeshadows. So, oh, you know what? I'm a visual learner, so sometimes I feel like I just overtalk. Let me just show you. But I will say, if I had just softened this a little bit, put some powder foundation there, I would call this an eye look. That is so pretty alone. You know what? Let's get extra wild and put a little bit of this in our crease too. I feel like this texture is so thin. It's something that would definitely need to be set, but I feel like the texture is so thin that we could just use, honestly, that's going to be enough for both eyes. And then we're just going to take this on a fluffy brush. This is something I'm going to do, and I feel like it's really important. Notice how I flattened it. That really helps with how it's going to pick up on the brush and how smoothly it will apply in here. So let's just go ahead, tap that, because this one's obviously not as frosty. Oh, that's perfect. And we're using this as a base. I have a little bit here. It's nice and flat on my finger though. I just had a little extra there. Perfect. And also, I wouldn't worry as much about wear time with this, since it's going on an area that doesn't have a lot of friction. So me and this palette right here, we've been having a really nice time together. I love that we have kind of this really warm to a more neutral, then it comes over to a little bit cooler. I love this palette. I think it's fantastic. I'm gonna go pretty warm today, so I'm gonna grab that shade. I'm just grabbing it on my E29, and I'm gonna go ahead and set the bronzing serum. Just using the tip of the brush, we're able to get a transition that way. Same thing over here, and I was worried that y'all were gonna miss Jean's bath time, but it's right on schedule. Right on schedule. So I'm gonna tell you something. Of course I am. I'm here to help and to make makeup more fun. So if I'm gonna grab a primary yellow, okay? And anytime you do a bronze look, if you transition in a little bit of yellow, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. So this isn't gonna be a yellow look, but by adding that much, just kind of tapping it across and into, yellow just enhances a bronzy look. Now I'm gonna build it up a little bit more than that, and just by adding that very warm transition in there, it just makes everything pop later. Try it. I'm gonna set it aside for right now. I'm not gonna put it away because we are probably going to add a little bit more. But now I think we wanna add a little bit of, I'm trying to decide what shade I wanna go into. And if you've ever wondered what I'm looking for, with bronze, I wanna stay warmer. So I'm looking more at these shades. I think we're gonna do this one. And even though, we call this a sequin. So you'll see it has a little bit of sparkle in it, but the base of it is matte. So it's not gonna be a frost, it's just gonna be a matte that kind of has some sparkles in it. Yep, that's exactly what I'm after. Ben's in one of his meetings. Perfect. I'm trying to decide if I want to take it over this way a little bit more. Now we're going to grab an E27 because I decided I wanted to take this same shade and just take it over here a little bit more, but I want it to be a little bit more visible. So as you can see, I'm relaxing my eye. I'm trying to, even I still want to do like this, but we're wanting to create depth where we don't have it. So I'm just stamping that color here, and I'm going to connect it over there. And now as I lay down that shadow, I'm going to be able to tap and just ever so lightly soften it. I don't want to soften it too much, because what I'm doing is I'm creating that definition. I'm creating kind of a more rounded effect because I'm creating depth and a shadow there. So I don't want to over blend it, but I wanted to soften just the top part. I'm actually going to deepen it just a little bit more, pick up that same shade, but now I'm just placing it underneath where we've already softened. Nice. I can't wait for you to see this with back camera, but when you do that shimmery paint pot underneath, it adds a wet look to the eye without obviously feeling sticky. I'm gonna come over here. That's gonna be a real nice goldy bronze. I'm very excited. I feel like bronze means something different to everyone. To me, that can also mean bronze. Maybe we'll mix these. I feel like this is going into gold, but not quite, because this is more of a yellow gold. Well, we could sit here for hours and start discussing and debating, but let's start with this. And then I think we might add, oh, I can't decide. No, it's a little too gold for me. Some of you might be thinking that's way too gold. Some of you might think that's bronze. You can, let's do a poll, but just because I want it to be a little, I want to mix because this is too cool, but I feel like together we're going to have a bronze that we can all agree on. That's nice. We have fun. Now let's just do the quickest wing possible. It's gonna have a little bit of smudge to it, but it's still gonna give the effect of the wing. We're gonna take clear eyeshadow base. This is that one from Milk that I always use. It's the one from Milk. It's this one right here. We're gonna grab that on our E27. We're just going to kind of stamp it in the shape of a wing. The brush will just kind of stamp it for you. Nice. Look, we're already kind of getting there. You see it there? And then we're gonna grab, let's grab this shade. I don't want it to be black, but I don't want it to be too light. So then we'll just kind of stamp that right on top. And you can see that I have the folds there. We're just gonna stamp right over that. Stamp it there. And then all we gotta do is, if you can't shut one eye at a time, I'm gonna pick more of the same shade. If you can't shut one eye at a time, just kind of tilt your head back and you can still kind of get in there. And even if you need to, just, I was saying, I don't recommend tugging like this because once we, not only is it not really good to just keep tugging on the delicate area of the eye. So what I would do, and if you do have a little bit more excess skin, is I would actually pull up from here and then I would lean back because you should be able to get in there. But I try not to tug below my eyebrow around the eye. Now, obviously, if I need to do something over here, I don't know. We don't know what I'm doing there. But I don't like to just tug this way or too close around here. It's just so delicate. Again, I don't want you to feel bad if you do. I'm just giving you suggestions. This is never a place where I'm ever shaming you. I'm just kind of giving you some ideas. So the forehead here, it's a little bit more tough around that area. So if you need to lift any skin, that's where I would want you to lift from. Now we're gonna do our micellar water, and then we have a nice little wing, a nice little lifted shape. I can't show you what the mascara is yet because it's not released, but that is without dipping back in, no lash comb, no curling. That is so good. It is gonna be drugstore, so it's a good one. I'm very excited for this. Let's add just a little bit more of the yellow in here. Remember how we left this to the side? Fluffy brush, because we don't want it to really show up a true yellow. We're kind of just really bronzing here. And you're thinking yellow, but yellow can really brighten up your bronze. Nice. I think we should do a caramel waterline. It's one of my favorite colors ever from Melt. As few passes as possible. There we go. I love this color. Now, everybody that's here, we know that we don't just try something once and go, oh no, I don't love it. So the way I'm gonna try this today, remember this, we wore this yesterday. I will also say, I think the shade might be a hair too light, and that just proves that if a shade is a little too light, it can look a certain way. It can kind of throw you off. It can make you think you don't like the foundation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 pumps of this. Actually, I'm gonna do 3 pumps. I will say the pumps come out a little small, so it's I mean, obviously it might be a lot for you, but I'm going medium coverage today, and then I'm gonna do 1 pump of this to darken it. And I've been able to use this, mix it with my foundations. I have no issues mixing. So let's see if this kind of takes it to where we want to go. It's pouring outside. I hear it against my window. Now, do remember I was saying it is going to dry down a little bit darker. I'm about to go crawl underneath my bed. I don't love weather. I'm like a cat. I say that. Jean's clonked out. I think that woke him up, but weather doesn't really scare Gene. Obviously, he's safe and sound right behind me sleeping. Yeah, that already looks a lot better. And that just kind of shows you that the wrong shade can kind of throw you off. Now, if you're wondering, Rose, why didn't you buy a different shade? It's because that one is as good as it gets with the undertones. If I go any darker, it gets very peachy orange. So that's what I've always noticed with MAC. That's nothing new to me, but I do like it this way. And I think this looks nice. So I'll just do what I normally do and darken it with my liquid bronzer. Something that I've taught y'all for years. That way we don't waste it. But remember, it does dry down so different. That looks perfect now. That's what we needed. But this is just it fresh. This is fresh paint over here. Okay, now that thunder didn't scare anybody, but now we gotta go look out the window because I keep my window shut here for color temperature, but now everybody's at the door wanting out to go look at it. They gotta go assess the situation. I'm not gonna do as much on my forehead. So I purchased this Gucci concealer, I think when it first came out, but I would have been a little too fair for it then. And I used it the other day. It's not revolutionary, no, but I already have it, so I want to use it, and it does match me. But it's not something that we need to even, no. Stick with what you already have. This, like I mentioned, it's good, and I really like the color on me now. I'm gonna do a little brightening with powder, so I want something very close to my skin tone. But it's not like this is just the biggest game changer that's ever happened, so. I would still, if I'm going to recommend one, I'm going to recommend the Natasha Denona one. Well, I'm just using this because I have it and it now matches. And then I'm melting that. We're going to use our same shaping serum here, but I'm going to use the wand. My mama's watching the weather. I love her. She knows that I don't like weather, so she's keeping an eye on it for me. Actually, I think she just stole Jean. I'm gonna put on a little bit extra. I like this because it's really nice to layer, because I always like to layer products anyways. I talk about that all the time, especially layering bronzer. So this one isn't so intense, but it does give you a nice, I'm fighting through this, y'all. I was saying it's not as intense as, say, a cream stick bronzer, but it lays down the right amount of color for just a little bit of shaping. I mean, that's what it's called. And I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to say that we need this either. We really don't, but if it was something you had your eye on, I am enjoying it. And I like to layer it because that's what I do. I like to layer. So now I'm just gonna give this a quick little wipety wipe, and then I'm gonna grab my Kiko Milano Bronzer 101. Make sure I'm grabbing the right one, just a little bit. And then I would set with that, and these two together are delightful. And this is how I like to do my makeup. And I also like how thin this is because of the layering. But I just never want you to feel like when something new comes out and I like it, that you need it. You don't. I try to make sure to say that every day. There's never any pressure here. I want you to even maybe just learn to layer what you already have. I try to give ideas more than I try to just show you a product and why you need the product. But I'm going to show you some really fun blushes. I've kind of gotten back into them, especially since I feel blush is kind of going towards layering and two-tone blush and transitioning blush. So that's where we're going to go into these. So what we're gonna need to do here is, if I put this on the wet foundation, these can be super pigmented, and that's also what makes them very versatile. These are from Crazy Beauty, by the way, and I know that y'all remember seeing me use this one, but they've made their way back into my daily vanity, and I love them, especially like I mentioned, because I feel that we're going to a two-tone blush, more of a dimension. So I feel like these are gonna be really, really fun for that. But we're gonna need a puff with these. But that also gives us the smooth, if you want the smoothest smooth, think about our setting powder. We want them finely milled, right? This is what I'm about to apply. So then we want our blushes finely milled too. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna lightly set with our powder, just like we always do. And again, the reason why is I don't want these to be super duper pigmented, because they can be if you put them on top. Well, here, let me show you. All right, I just have a little bit of moisture on my hand, and you can see that they get pretty pigmented, and I don't want it that pigmented. So just a little bit of setting powder here is gonna make sure that it doesn't stick to the wetness of the foundation. So I'm gonna start with this shade. This one I showed years ago, and I love this one. And it's just, I mean, there was a really big high-end brand that basically kind of copied this idea. So I'm just gonna take that, and I'm just going to hit the higher points. And I wanna do a video on this separately, but blush looks best in transitions. I'm picking up a little bit more. Blush, to me, I always want you to enjoy what you're doing, but I will say, to have a blush kind of go over the cheek from lightest to darkest, it gives more dimension, and it makes the blush look its best. So there we have our very first transition. Is that not beautiful? And they're not flat. It's so smooth. And we definitely recommend, I use a puff. Use a puff to apply these. And remember, if you wanted this color to not be quite as light and you wanted to have a little bit more depth, we would just apply it. Even this color right here, we would just apply this on top of wet foundation. So now I want to use a color that's basically going to transition over into my bronzer. So this one is called Pink Apricot, and it's really pretty as a bronzer transition. Now, just like with our powder, we wanted to make sure that was evened out, and that's going to go here, and you are going to have the most transitioned, smooth blush. Look at how pretty that is. I mean, even that little bit just through here, look at the difference between that and that. Now I'm gonna take what's left of Pink Apricot, and I'm just gonna put it right into, so here's the bronzer, and then I kind of want it to melt into this shade, and I just think it looks so natural. And then a little across my nose. And then I like to take my foundation brush and then just kind of melt back over. Because remember, I haven't set down here, and I really haven't set too much around my forehead yet. So I'm able to go back around, melt the edges. Now, if you want your makeup to look the most transitioned and the most smooth, it's about laying those colors very gently on top of one another in those small sections to really create that dimension. I feel like when I first started, I would just kind of take the one color and I would just layer it, and it would be the same color all over. But when we take time to kind of use different shades strategically, it creates a completely different dimension to the face, and it makes such a difference. Now, yes, this was an ad, but y'all have seen me use these many times before, and of course you will see them after. So thank you so much, Crazy Beauty, for partnering with me today. Please try these. You will love them, because the whole idea is finely milled. We reach for it every day with our powder, so let's reach for it with our blush. So I feel like this would be smart. Maybe not, we'll see. Let me experiment before you do. We're taking that Mario bronzer serum. Let's kind of throw that on underneath here. Ooh, and then I'm gonna put just a little bit of, maybe not, I kind of like it the way it is. I don't want it to get too dark underneath here, and I feel like that's the perfect shade. Oh, I like it. Notice how it just rounded out my eye, because it just defined the roundness of my eyeball. That's my actual eyeball there. It's all rounded up. Now we're we're doing a science project. And then I just want to kind of blur a few things. So I love this brush. This is from our travel set. I love this one with this powder, the way that it picks it up. But I also love it because it kind of just gets in here and sets, but without depositing too much. So a puff kind of really gets it in there, and this will too, but a puff gives you a little bit different finish. I don't want a completely matte finish, so that's why we're going to use a brush instead of a puff, but I do want to do just a little bit of blurring through the center. I'm not going over that bronzer. Notice I'm trying to have a little bit more control. I'm going to go down the center of my nose. I love this powder so much with this brush. And then I'm going to go around the blush, and I'll go kind of on the edges here. It's like a filter. I'm telling you, this particular powder is so good. And then when you pair it with this powder brush, match made in makeup heaven. I'm going to do a little bit across my shadow too, just a little bit. I didn't pick back up for that. Let's do a rough draft with this Kiko Milano lip liner. This one is, these are so affordable. I want to say they're under $5, but I could be just assuming. But I know that they're extremely on the more affordable side. So, but this is shade 33. All right, let's go find a lipstick. Let's try one of these. So I think I want to do, oh gosh, this one's calling to me. No, I would want to do a darker lip liner with this one. So let's do this lighter bronzy shade. I feel like that'll be really, really nice. These are from NYX. I believe they're new colors. They were front and center at Ulta, and I just said, let me have that. This is the shade I will Pay Me in Gold. So I'm gonna throw this on. That is super pretty. I'm excited to try the other one. We're gonna try all of them this week, but we'll start with this one. But then what I was saying is I'm gonna grab my lip liner, and then I'm gonna go back in and create some more definition. That's so pretty, and it's super comfortable. I like my makeup today. I like it with my hair. I feel like it's honey tones. This one's really comfortable too, by the way. I love how I'm like staring and I'm like inspecting. All right, friends. I think I can open my window again. I don't want to see it. I just shut the blinds. All right, my friends. I love y'all. I'm so excited for y'all to try these. I'm sure by now, if you're still around, we like the same things. I find that when y'all try something and you say, hey, you know what? I really didn't like this. Think about this. The NARS, really any NARS foundation, I don't love them. Y'all have never seen me talk about them. Even this is super popular and being talked about right now. I'm really not enjoying it. So it's not that I like only good things. I feel like we have all just kind of came together and we like similar things. We like the same things. So that's why it's almost like your friend, and that's how I feel. I feel like y'all are my friends, but your friends, we all kind of like the same thing. So if you do want a new blush, which you have a lot of blushes, I know, but this is cool because it's not just another pressed blush, and I really, really love them. And I know that you're gonna love them too. But I love you all so much, and I'll see you in my DMs.